Oh, there it is.
There's a fourth land, Chainer's Edict that we previously. Copy of Hydroblast. What are the prime targets for this Hydroblast? What is he concerned about out of Jeskai deck?
That's actually a very good question. Cold Death Rebirth is the deck's namesake, but actually I don't think it's very good against this blue-black Delver deck. Because it's got enough big creatures, has a slight ability to come off the ground, and might just want to counter Lightning Bolt.
Yeah,
Although could function as a Dispel in the match, which does seem good.
that might be just good enough. We did see on camera a Jeskai Kudota player hold three copies of Galvanic Blast with Metalcraft to finish the opponent from 12 life.
That's
that was
right.
pretty exciting.
Yeah, we know that Alex isn't playing no, he's playing 4 Galvanic Blasts. I saw the O-ring and I got very confused. Anyway, Chainer's Edict's going to eliminate Alex's only creature. Now Daniel in a pretty strong position to take the game long, take advantage of his cantrips, and counter spells, and so on. Might have put himself in a pretty commanding position. Alex only has a tap land and no permanent or threat to follow up.
You're not scared of that Ichor Wellspring?
No, not really. Not. So the cards that Alex has in his deck to interact with that Wellspring, Esther Glenhawks, Coldotha Rebirth, and Skyfisher to a lesser extent. And them drawing an extra card is certainly not something you want to sign up for.
Thought Scour targeting Daniel. That milled a copy of Gurmag Inlet, which is certainly a card I think he would have wanted to hit off of the Thought Scour, but instead he'll just play his 5th land, pass the turn with plenty of counter magic at his disposal.
Yeah, always better to have a threat in your hand versus in your graveyard. Alex finds another Cycling Artifact. I think he'll likely to deploy that this turn. But choked with so much removal in his hand, Daniel's not playing into, either on purpose or just as a result of his draw steps this game. Replaced with another Cycling Artifact.
Without a Prophetic Prism?
That's right, yeah. Prophetic Prism leads Alex's turn off. He's got a second one to follow up with, though he might not want to tap out in the face of all this blue mana from Daniel. I think, yeah, Alex now really looking for a threat, though, and at the risk of getting his card miscalculated, which you saw to be a pretty powerful effect in earlier games. See a 3rd Journey to Nowhere.
Is there a particular danger in tapping out in this matchup against Blue-Black Delver?
I can't imagine it. So we've always got to be mindful that Force Spike is a card that exists. Miscalculations is a consideration as well. And Daniel might be able to just drop a lot of power in on his turn, and Alex will have to spend some of his burn resources at sorcery speed to deal with it. That's not a situation you particularly want to be in, but
now, Daniel just picked up a copy of Brainstorm for the turn and fired off at instant speed. Looks like he's considering... sorcery speed. Looks like he's considering bidding his 2 copies of Ghastly Demise, having seen no threats from Alex side of the board. I don't think he has a way to reset his Brainstorm. No mental notes, no thought scours. So he's going to be priced into drawing these cards.
Yeah, it's still fine. Ghastly Demise is never going to be bad, especially with the graveyard as fat as Daniel's is. He's able to play Stormbound guys with counterspell backup, and I like doing this. Alex looks like he's got a lot of removal in his hands, and Daniel's going to have to start burning through that. Stormbound Geist is, in the abstract, one of the best ways to do that, as it accepts, takes damage very well. We know Alex to almost certainly journey this to nowhere. But nothing to be done about that.
Alex, coming near his maximum hand size every turn, is going to be very excited to have the opportunity to use some of these journeys of nowhere on anything he can.
Yeah, actually deploy a spell. Here it comes. Easy counterspell target. Alex has the option to negate it back, though I think I might just burn a 2nd journey to nowhere.
Okay. I kind of like that, but looks like Alex decides to go with the negate instead.
Okay.
Which is going to take care of the Stormbound Geist.
Yeah, may know that he's going to be tapping out for a lot of cards in future turns, and so wants to give himself the option to cast more journeys when applicable. 2nd Stormbound Geist, another juicy journey to nowhere target, that's for sure.
Certainly. The first one was good enough. Why not the second one, right?
Exactly.
He's going to cycle on Daniel's end step, his copy of Forgotten Cave.
That's right. Onslaught Powerhouse.
Yep. And it looks like he has the secluded step on board, which we had confused with an ancient den previously. He has one of each.
That's right.
In fact.
Yeah, here comes
Another copy of. Is that a third copy of Journey?
that's a Celestial Flare.
Oh.
Yeah, Celestial Flare lines up awkwardly with Stormbat Geist, but here it comes. Counterspell on the first Journey to Nowhere, likely to elicit the second out of Alex here. And Alex really just trying to take the game longer and let his, Durdle engine come online, where he'll be able to get value out of his artifacts that he's invested cards into.
Now it's interesting. The blue-black Delver player has much more card selection, but it sounds like the Kidota deck has a much better lawn game because of the Ikora Wellspring engine.
I think so. Even the cantripping artifacts replace themselves so well, work well with cards that have the quote disadvantage of requiring you to return a permanent to your hand when they enter the battlefield.
And it looks like from our spotter, we just heard that our number 1 seed, John Barber on Tron, just assembled natural turn 3 Tron again.
Again?
Yeah.
What a master.
What a master. That's good magic.
Yeah, it's all about fundamentals here in the proper metagame, and that mostly includes drawing your Tron when you need it.
If you have a combo in your deck, you just want to draw the pieces and put them together.
Yeah, it's way better than
Combo 101.
Exactly. Daniel again passing back with no play. He's drawn his second Ghastly Demise from the top of his deck, put there by Brainstorm. And now he's going to start getting into some fresh cards. Alex still looking for like a permanent to go with his 7 points of burn in his hand.
Yeah. Who does this game state favor now? It seemed like Daniel was in control, had a better draw and selection in the early games, but it seems like the board stabilized a little bit, and Alex is starting to draw, among other things, a bevy of burn spells.
That's right, yeah. Alex has 10 damage to burn in his hand now. He's got those Galvanic Blasts, he's got Fire. He has Firebolt in his deck.
Well, let's make sure he has Metalcraft.
Yes, he has. Yeah, he has 3 Metalcrafts. It was pretty close there for a second. Windscarred Crag, another draw. Yeah, Alex looking for anything to really kickstart his engine going. A Kodotha Rebirth would be fantastic right now. Even if it gets countered, just the ability to take one of his useless artifacts from the field and turn it into a card. That's an appealing deal to me. Card Kingdom, the Rags and the Riches, Metalcraft 9. I got nothing on this one. Ooh, Mortuary Mire is a very nice draw for Daniel here. He's going to reset his Gurmag Angler, going to be able to cast it for about 1 mana next turn. And we know that Alex has been run out of Journey to Nowheres, seeing 2 on the field, 1 in the graveyard. But here comes, of course, Skyfisher. Gonna get a Zombie Fish on the hook next turn, but not before he gets a fresh draw out of his Prophetic Prism.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, I know. Who knows what this next card could be? It could be another cantripping artifact.
Could even be a moat.
The purpose of any moat is to impede attack, as you know.
Yeah. Now, is there any reason to pick up a Prismatic Prism versus an Ikora Wellspring from this situation?
I think that you don't want to expose your Ikora Wellspring to getting countered on the way in. Ooh, Oblivion Ring, a nice draw.
It's a limited powerhouse.
That's true.
Also very good in Pauper.
That's true.
Oblivion Ring originally printed at Common, which is why it's legal in Pauper, but has been bumped up subsequently, I think, in M13.
Yeah, just like Doomblade, I think.
Yeah, it's uncommon. I think Oblivion Ring's even more powerful.
Yeah. And here comes that Gurmag Angler. We'll see which 6 cards Daniel wants to remove from his graveyard in order to cast it.
Yeah. Do you think he'll have enough food for the delve cost?
Yeah, as long as he doesn't accidentally click on Change Edict, I think he's pretty safe.
Yeah. And this graveyard is a resource. Fortunately, ever since it got changed from a cost reducer to a way of paying costs, it's not now possible for Daniel to accidentally delve away his old graveyard, which you could do on Magic Online.
Oh, very interesting.
But now he can delve a maximum of 6, which it looks like he'll do, for this 1 mana 5/5. That's value.
You're not hardly wrong at all. Yeah, Daniel playing Change Edict and Accumulated Knowledge, 2 cards that rely on other copies being in the graveyard. We see he left a Stormbat Geist in case he's able to reset his Mortuary Mire just in case. Alex now with 14 points of burn in his hand.
Yeah, but do recall that Daniel's holding 2 copies of Hydro Blast, which otherwise seem like they have nothing useful to target, as well as 2 counter spells.
Yeah.
So he'll be able to negate some of that as long as he doesn't tap down too low.
That's right. Yeah, Alex is going to bait out some counter spells on this turn by deploying this Oblivion Ring.
I like that.
Agree.
What's very risky is trying to take down the Gridmag Angler with damage-based burn spells against a deck that has counter magic.
Yeah, that's certainly a fool's errand. Trying to rely on 2 spells to resolve. Alex now relying on Celestial Flare to kill the Gridmag Angler, but that's going to have to wait until Daniel's combat. We'll see if he fights over it. I think there's an argument for waiting until you've got Lethal Burn in your hand, which is not that difficult to achieve.
Daniel's going to cast Thought Scour in response, hope to hit a copy of his counter spell or maybe a Deprive, negate.
Deprive would be a really big game here, but I don't believe he plays it actually. Oh, he has a full 3 Deprives. Fortunately, Deprive will be good at saving. At recurring the Gridmag Angler on future turns and still be able to reset his Mortuary Mire, put the Gridmag Angler back on top, and so on and so forth.
Good deck building.
Lightning Bolt on the Delver gets Hydro Blasted.
Hydro Blast is a card that's been stranded in Daniel's hand for a very long time, and looks like he just traded for 2 copies of Lightning Bolt. So 2 copies of Hydro Blast is traded for 2 copies of Lightning Bolt.
A very good deal. Lightning Bolt's a very versatile spell. Can target both creatures and players.
What's your favorite copy edition of Lightning Bolt?
Beatdown.
Beatdown. Interesting.
Yeah. White bordered has that ugly mace, but it's nostalgic for me. You like Beta?
I do like Beta. I like playing with the oldest cards possible. However, I do really like the M10 flavor text. It's a newer card, but it evokes nostalgia in a very different way by capturing the sentiments of red mages everywhere.
Yeah. It's like, I never thought I was going to get to cast this spell again. But I get to do this in Standard.
Did you laugh when you saw what Alex drew for the turn?
I did. I saw. So the Pyroblast coming off the top in exchange for that Ichor Wellspring means that Alex now is able to protect his Lethal Burn to the face. Is this a sorcery? Oh.
I think I like an upkeep speed one just to get a little bit of information.
Yeah.
But it looks like this is a sorcery speed activation because Daniel now untaps. It looks like he's out of gas for now.
Yeah, he's got 1 spell in his hand, I think.
Yeah, there's 1 card in his hand that he's concealing from the camera. I think we did catch a glimpse of it, but I'm not sure what that is.
It's an island to join his Ghastly Demise. Okay. So, yeah, as it turns out, this game has progressed down the path of both players trading 1 for 1, my creature, your spell, your creature, my spell. And now we're in the position where Daniel has half of his deck in the graveyard.
Is he in any danger of being decked?
It's defensible, although he's now at the point where his deck still contains 3 Gridmag Anglers, still has another Stormbound guy, still has his Sultai Scavengers, and he's going to very easily be able to cast those for 1 mana a lot.
For reference, his win conditions are 4 copies of Gridmag Angler, 4 copies of Delver Secrets, 2 Sultai Scavengers, a Stinkweed Imp, and looks like he's boarded in at least 2 copies of Stormbound Geist,
That's right.
of which he has 3 in the sideboard. Those are his win conditions. Delver decks typically are very aggressive in all formats, but they're not exactly very heavy on win conditions. They do use cantrips and permission to ensure that their threats stick. And here's the Delver Secrets.
Yeah. Alex is going to wait on casting 1 of his 2 Galvanic Blasts. He finds a Firebolt. That card's really good at killing Delver Secrets.
It's great at killing Delver Secrets, great at trading with counter spells. Yeah, I know if he had anything, he's probably not going to want to fight over this.
Absolutely. Yeah, Alex now going to be able to sit on that Firebolt for a little bit longer. Maybe able to take out the front half of the Stormbound guys, kill 1 of Daniel's 2 remaining Delver Secrets.
You know, it just occurred to me that usually in many formats you are considering an upkeep removal spell in the Delver Secret so that you get some information from the opponent. But that's in formats where you don't play 4 Thought Scour and 4 Mental Notes. It's possible he didn't want his Daniel to be able to decide whether to scry those cards away, essentially, with Mental Note or Thought Scour.
Okay. See, the information gain is symmetric.
Yeah, and more than symmetric because Daniel has the ability to manipulate it with his deck.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting observation. I wouldn't have thought of that.
He looks like he picked up a copy of Gridmag Angler. Is Alex out of answers?
Think so. We know Alex to have 2 Galvanic Blasts in his hand now.
And that Firebolt can combine with the Galvanic Blast to pick off the Gurmag Angler. Now this is
Going to take up 2 of Alex's resources.
yeah, and is very dangerous in case you get 2 for 1 with the counter spell, which so I think he's going to be very hesitant to do this as long as he has other options.
That's right. Yeah, I think his plan A now is to use the Galvanic Blast to go upstairs to Daniel.
Yeah, he's got 10 points of damage between the 2 Galvanic Blasts and the Firebolt.
Yeah.
And he's got that core Skyfisher pecking away slowly at Daniel, so that's just 3 turns away, assuming no counter magic but no other further burn spells.
Yeah, Alex here looking like he's counting the counter spells that Daniel's burned through.
Yeah. These players don't have access to each other's deck lists, but these are pretty common staples of the Pauper metagame. So these guys are experienced Pauper players. They might be able to guess how much is still available in the opposing player's deck.
Yeah, I think if you're playing a counter spell, you got to be playing 5 or 4. I don't know. 3 more behind it.
Well, here's Gurmag Angler. Certainly a 4 of in this deck.
Yeah, 1 mana 5/5 qualifies as a good deal.
Yep.
And Alex now needs to decide if he's going to attack the Gurmag Angler or attack the life total.
I kind of like going for the life total. Daniel has you on a 5-turn clock starting next turn, but Alex can potentially have a 3-turn clock just through burn spells and flying attackers alone.
Yeah. Oh, and Is it Boilerbrick's a very nice draw here.
That is synergy. That is the good deck building.
Float a mana, use the mana floating to cycle it. Now, very nice. And he's rewarded with the Glint Hawk. Just going to let him reset his Ichor Wellspring and Prophetic Prism, and as well as summon a 2/2 fly.
Yeah. And that 2/2 body is very good on this current board state.
I want to call out how safe to Chaos Orb Alex is right now. He's not going to lose more than 2 permanents, I think, to it.
That is true.
It's very important.
Have you ever flipped a Chaos Orb?
Yes.
I haven't. It's one of the luxuries of Magic that I have not gotten a chance to enjoy. I've cast plenty of Black Lotus, but Chaos Orb
Still a lunacy.
We have a lot of sweet formats at Card Kingdom. I have not yet played in one where I can play with Chaos Orb, but I need to work on my dexterity skills, and I think
No, it's important.
I got to maximize the value of these Chaos Orbs.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that most Magic players could stand to work on their dexterity. Just a high-functioning generalization.
Well, I do get a lot of criticism about my board states. Here's a copy of Ghastly's Demise, pointed at the Glint Hawk.
Yeah, Ghastly Demise is going to destroy any non-black creature with toughness less than...
A billion right now.
Correct. Yeah, we're going to round up to the nearest billion here. Now, Daniel is dead on board. Little does he know.
And we just have an update from our spotter that John Barber is now going to Game 3, cast a Rolling Thunder for 12. Rolling Thunder, Pestilence, we've mentioned with Joss that these are some of the best commons ever printed.
That's right. Yeah, truly astonishing to me that Rolling Thunder was ever a common.
That's what I grew up with. That was the first set. That was a legal set when I first played Magic, so this is just like baseline for me. I didn't play a whole lot of Limited, though, but it's like, well, what's wrong with Rolling Thunder?
Yeah. So here's a Galvanic Blast number 1 going upstairs. See if it's good. Daniel's got a...
Ghastly Demise and Island.
Yeah, Ghastly Demise, my chances of winning this
It's
game.
kind of scary when Galvanic Blast start getting pointed at your head.
Yeah. Here's the second. See what Daniel says. Yeah. And the third, going to bring it to the 3rd game in this match.
For the second time at Rags to Riches 3 today, we see triple Galvanic Blast close out a game on camera.
Yeah.
This is absolutely sick.
Galvanic Blast, 1 mana for 4 damage. I'm not a math expert, but I know the 4 is a lot. 4 is a fifth of 20.
You are, in fact, a math expert.
That's the joke. So as we head up to the sideboards here.
Now, viewers are probably familiar with the triple Galvanic Blast at Pro Tour Honolulu. I have no idea. I don't really follow Pro Tour scene.
Yeah.
But Brian Kibler and John Finkel, some of the best players ever to play. Exciting finish to a... I don't even know what format that was, but...
I think it was standard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll see what Chad has to say. Oh, Josh is gone. He's not paying attention.
So, Game 3 right here. We're going to have Daniel Ho presumably back on the play. He has the option, having dropped Game 2.
Yeah, can't imagine taking the draw here. Does get an extra card, and this game did go long enough that the extra card could have mattered for a couple turns, but when you get into turn, say, 20 or so, the additional card kind of fades into the background.
Yeah.
And you see the...
And we see there the grindiness of the Kadotha deck. The blue-black Delver player had a lot more cantrips, a lot more velocity early on, but eventually Alex was able to just run him out of threats with all the answers and the the card advantage that he gained through his cantrips.
That's right. Daniel's spells cost a card and replace themselves with a card. Alex's cards replace themselves at worst, and at best, they provide a body while resetting another card, which is going to gain them a card. Glinthawk being a 2-for-1, of course Skyfisher being a 2-for-1, Galvanic Blast being 4 damage. I think the resources lined up pretty well for Alex.
You know what I thought was particularly interesting? There was one turn where he ripped a bounce land, and you would imagine this is like one of the worst draws you can typically have. Not just a land, but like tempo negative land in a game. But in fact, in combination with a cycling land already on his board, that gave him a Glinthawk or Core Skyfisher. And this is another generally tempo negative play, but in conjunction with all the Prisms and the Wellsprings on in the Kadotha deck, that actually managed to give him quite a bit of card advantage and an impressive 2-2 body to finish off the game.
Yeah. Josh likes to refer to this deck as light dirtling and synergy. No, it's light synergy and dirtling.
I think that's an apt description.
I think you're the first person to pick up on it immediately. He told it to me, and I looked at him with side eyes before I thought about it for about another couple minutes.
Oh, the pun did not occur to me, but I do think that is a good description of what the deck wants to do.
Yeah. So as we're taking it to the third game here in our quarterfinal match, we'll see if we can't get a roundup from our spotters, see how the other matches in the bracket are going. We'll see if we can't get a roundup from our spotters, see how the rest of the matches are going. You know that John Barber in the 1-8 match, going into the third game here, having cast Rolling Thunder for 12. That is so much.
And he threw that Rolling Thunder at the mono blue player, so that was
in the
spell that went all in, but managed to resolve.
Yeah, Sam Nelson getting slain to death by that big Rolling Thunder. There's another Kadotha Jeskai match faced off against Elves. That'll round up the bracket.
Yeah, well, who do you like in that matchup?
Jeskai versus Elves. I gotta say Elves.
Seems like it's a lot faster. I don't feel like based on what I've seen from Alex's deck, it doesn't look like there's very profitable instant speed, tempo positive removal to interact with Elves. But we'll see how this turns out.
Yeah, the Jeskai deck might be able to go 1-for-1 with some of Elves' early plays, but they can just follow that up with additional 1-drops.
However, as the game goes longer, I do think it's more likely that the Kadotha player might have stabilized and pulled ahead.
Yeah, gonna depend completely on the number of distant melodies cast in a match. I think that if on a relatively tied board where both players have gone wide, distant melody breaks the game wide open.
Both players pick up their 7, and Daniel has I think that he's got an island as well as a swamp.
Does he? Okay. Yeah, two basics, not the best starting here. But,
maybe I
misspoke
saw
maybe,
something that looked like an island but wasn't quite that.
Yeah, we both saw that swamp.
Yeah, we both saw Swamp. Swamp is unfortunately not going to be able to cast all the cantrips in his hand. Looks like Alex is going to join him in Mulliganing. On a Moto 6, who do you like more?
I like the Blue-Black Delver as the total resources go down. It's because the Jeskai deck is so dependent on that synergy. Because you need to draw a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, a little bit of column C. That's lands, artifacts, and cards that interact with artifacts.
You know, I think you might be right, and that was actually different from what I initially thought. I thought the Kadotha Forge Master wants to go to a longer game and have kind of like an attrition battle where it starts grinding out card advantage. But when players have low resources, that does generally favor the Delver player. So I think I was approaching that with the wrong logic. But you know, it's going to depend on what both players pick up in their opening 6s.
Yeah, I think that the good hands, the good 6s are going to be way better for the Jeskai deck than the Blue-Black Delver. Whereas both players have like middling starts, I think that's going to favor the Delver deck. Both players have terrible starts, going to favor the Delver deck as well. So we've got one half of the bracket already filled out. We saw the Freed from the Real player take down Mono Black in the first quarter match. That was on camera. He's going to face off against Antonio, also playing Jeskai Kadotha.
Antonio is the other undefeated player on the day.
That's
he
right.
Finished in the 2nd seed. ID'd twice to finish off the event. He defeated Patrick on Elves. So we're going to have the 2 versus 3 bracket, Antonio versus Aleko, 2 undefeated players.
Right.
Here we're going to figure out between Daniel and Alex in this deciding third match who has the right to face the winner of John Barber on Tron and Sam Nelson on Mono Black Control.
One more note from our spotter. It sounds like John also wonder what's happening here. Yeah, our Tron player plays yet another game where he has Tron on 3. Oh, looks like Daniel drew one too many cards in his opening hand.
Oh,
okay.
So competitive REL, is that a forced mulligan?
It is. Well, it's sort of. You get 2 cards. You have to go to 5, and the way that it is done is by removing 2 cards at random from the hand. Yeah, so that's bad news for Daniel. Dexterity error might cost him some of his advantage in this match.
That's a steep penalty, unfortunately, happened in a top 8 match. But the Delver deck certainly has the ability to recover as both players look at their scry.
Yeah. See a Kuldotha Rebirth on top of Alex's deck. It's going to set him up pretty well.
And it's really cute. In a format without much fetch lands, having Delver Secrets after scrying is a much better interaction than it is in formats where your mana base is predominantly in the form of fetch lands.
That's right. Yeah, Daniel gets, well, not rewarded, but not, actually, yeah. Daniel in a way better position after his mulligan.
Oh, but he didn't manage to flip that Delver, but it was Gurmag Angler that he wanted nonetheless.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a risky proposition to put Gurmag Angler on the bottom. You never put Gurmag in the corner.
Gurmag is one of the best creatures in this format. The such beating 5/5 is very difficult to deal with in this format.
Basically, the common burn spell that deals the most is like in the form of Flame Slash, which only deals 4 at sorcery speed. Dealing with that angler is a tricky ask. All right. Alex here, gonna lead his play off with Ichor Wellspring. Hopes to find a red source so he can cast this Kuldotha Rebirth for maximum value. Looks like he drew Swiftwater Cliffs on his opening turn, but had deployed that Tranquil Cove? The blue-white refuge.
Yeah.
Hydroblast. Interesting piece of information to be revealed to Alex. Now he knows that he's not going to be as confident in riding this Kuldotha Rebirth to victory.
All right.
Oh, also has to deal with the Delver Secrets.
Yep.
That is flipped.
So he can't spend too much time picking his spots.
Yeah.
However, he does have quite a bit of removal. I think he's going to go ahead and deploy this copy of Swiftwater Cliffs.
I like Sweetwater. Sweetwater are the name of a brewery back in Atlanta. Good stuff.
It's good. I mean, I am a big Taylor Swift fan, so I should get this name right. But nonetheless, here we have Tapping of the Ancient Den.
Yeah. So Glinthawk is going to be the play, bouncing Ichor Wellspring. Should it resolve?
Yep, and it looks like it. Well, it looks like the card resolved, and Alex acknowledging the trigger. Daniel looks like he lets it resolve.
Yep.
I don't think there's much in the Pauper format that could interact with it other than
you don't want Stifle.
shatter effects.
Yeah.
But here, blue-black not known for its shatters. You do have Gate to Frexia. I think it's a Fallen Empires or some obscure card.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
One of the few ways to deal with artifacts in mono black.
Using a Phyrexian spell. Very thematic, I think. And now, Alex, having resolved this Glinthawk, is going to have interaction with this Delver or this Insectile Aberration. Daniel I think gonna spend his turn looking for some of his black removal to get clear the way for his Delver.
That's the one black card in that we know that's a Gurmag Angler.
That's right.
Putting Hydroblast and Accumulated Knowledge, which will draw 2.
That's right.
Do you like firing this off right now?
No, I think I'm going to want to cast a Mental Note. That's going to set me up for one of 2 options here. Doing nothing is astonishing. Casting the Mental Note lets you either find removal for the Glinthawk, or you just cast Gurmag Angler. But Daniel instead looking to cast this AK at instant speed. Maybe bluff out some removal or interaction in some way.
Alex just picked up a copy of Oblivion Ring. That's an excellent draw.
For
We're
sure.
going to see if he wants to.
Ooh.
And he has the namesake Kuldotha Rebirth,
Kuldotha.
sacrificing the Ichor Wellspring. That puts 3 1/1 goblins into play for 1 mana.
Yeah.
It's going to get Hydroblasted, but Alex is going to draw the card anyways for the trigger on the Ichor Wellspring hitting the bin.
Rewarded with another coming to play tap land. Going to bring him up to 19. Stem the bleeding just a little bit.
Do you think Alex is going to fire off that Oblivion Ring on the Delver Secrets?
I can't imagine him doing that.
Yeah, with that Glinthawk on defense, he probably wants to save this for a more threatening creature like a Gurmag Angler. He doesn't necessarily know Daniel has a copy in his hand, but he does know Daniel has a lot of cantrips.
Yeah, got to be mindful of. Chander's Edict's a nice draw.
Chander's Edict. That might prompt him to start using the copy of
using his removal on the
Yeah,
Delver
but
Secrets.
he also has a bunch of burn spells that can profitably interact with the Delver Secrets.
Also profitably interact with the face.
Yep. But I think right now Alex in the market for playing the control role. He just wants to make this attrition battle, trade off resources. His opponent unfortunately had a mulligan of 5, and you have the stronger late game to begin with. Your opponent also missed the land drop, so you're even ahead on tempo.
That's right. Brainstorm resolving. Going to put 2 lands back.
Is that a copy of Deprive in his hand?
It is a Deprive, yeah.
Well, that's a bad feeling. It's a Brainstorm lock. He's not going to be able to draw a land for the next couple draw steps.
Daniel's yet to play a land and has drawn an Evolving Wilds as one of the cards off of his Brainstorm. Oh no, it doesn't backwater. Never mind.
Okay, and he has a copy of Mental Note, so I spoke too soon.
Okay. And now Daniel looking to ride his Delver into Alex's face.
Very poetic image.
Thank you. I make an effort. But Alex actually has another flying creature in the form of Core Skyfish here.
I don't think he's going to quite fire that off right now. There's no value to be gained. So go ahead and take care of that Delver while Daniel's tapped out.
Yeah, and then just get back to Dirtling.
Yeah, he's got a land. Land, draw, go. I mean, I think control player, which Kadotha should be considered in this matchup. He's very happy to. But he's going to go ahead and pick up his copy of Ancient Den.
Yeah, looks like he's going aggressive here.
Yeah. I guess there is some merit for capitalizing on the tempo gain from opponent with a 4 mulligan.
Yeah, that's true.
Now this is interesting. He plays a copy of Great Furnace rather than the Ancient Den that Daniel already knew about. Do you
Moreover,
like that play?
I like both of them less than using your Azorius Chancery. I think at this point, Azorius Chancery is very good at resetting your cycling lands that you've used early in the game.
Is that in Alex's hand?
Yes, it is. Azorius Chancery. Mm-hmm.
And we have an upkeep Mental Note, putting away an island and a Stormbound Geist.
Yeah.
And
I actually think Daniel took his natural draw this turn.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, his plan this turn is to deploy his Gurmag Angler. Now that he's got he's got enough cards in his graveyard that are bad, he's going to be able to leave himself that Think Twice, he's going to leave himself a creature, as well as a double accumulated knowledge. Well, maybe not. You might have to eat a Delver for it.
I don't think there's a copy of Think Twice in Daniel's deck, but there are a lot of cards that do accumulate
it's Delver
value
Secrets.
in the graveyard. There we go.
Appreciate that.
Gurmag Angler, he's probably feeling pretty good at this sticks, but we know this is not going to stick.
A second Oblivion Ring is a nice draw for Alex here. Daniel's actually going to be able to cast his Deprive to stop this Oblivion Ring from hitting the field, and then start cracking in with a 5/5.
Is that a Mortuary Mire, or that's Evolving Wilds on the battlefield, right?
That's correct. It's going to thin Daniel's deck just a little bit more when he activates it, which I imagine to be on the end step, though there is an argument for saving it for future Brainstorms.
I'm a very big fan of the design of the bounce lands. I think they're really elegant, and they actually make the mana base interesting and add decisions to what's normally considered a fairly mundane aspect of Magic.
Yeah, play land and deploying early resources as well.
Yeah, you gotta sequence appropriately. You gotta play around taxing resources, but you also don't want to set yourself too far back on tempo. And I think Wizards did a great job striking the appropriate balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the original Ravnica block bounce lands regarded as some of the most powerful draft commons that you could take, especially in that format where you had so many decks of so many colors, taking you down roads. That lets you get away with playing way fewer lands in your deck as well, as they count for 2-ish land drops.
Charles Wong is a local player, very talented, especially in Limited. He actually split in the finals of our Rags to Riches one. He's a big fan of taking bounce lands at every opportunity. Bounce lands and signets, he'll just draft them over any normal cards, and I think this is kind of appropriate because he has a reputation for just like splashing pretty much any color he can get his hands on.
Yeah, you can pass him a Dawn Elemental off color, he'll take it, no problem. Quad white, no problem. And a second Core Skyfisher means that Alex thinks that he's on the beatdown here.
Yeah, do you think this is a sign of weakness, or do you think this is actually a good opportunity for him to capitalize on with aggression?
I think that his play is consistent. You know, he's chosen to be the aggressor in this matchup, which makes sense. He's got access to more resources. He's got more evasive creatures than his opponent right now, and he's got removal.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, after Daniel missed a couple of land drops, Alex was ahead on tempo, but now Alex is set back towards 4 lands.
Yeah. Normally, this Kuldotha Jeskai deck needs a good amount of resources to play. But now Alex is a white flying aggro deck with some light artifact synergies here.
I think Alex has just one artifact on the board in the form of Great Furnace. He does have another in hand.
That's right.
The Ancient Den.
Yeah. Now looking for his third artifact to summon to generate Metalcraft so he can get an additional 2 damage out of that Galvanic Blast.
Yeah. He doesn't have to fire it off right away, fortunately. But what do you like doing here?
I like leading with the O-Ring.
I do too.
I think I might sit on my bounce. I might try to cast my bounce land as soon as possible, or try to use my bounce land as soon as possible. I might. There's a part of me that really wants to cast Firebolt as 2/3 of Lava Spike right now, but I think waiting is probably the safer bet.
Yeah, I guess the Delver Secrets can potentially interact with him. And we have information on the semifinals on the other side of the bracket. So because the matchup between 2 and 3 had already been set in the semis, we have Aleko on his Freed from the Rio deck, up a game over Antonio Calderon on Jeskai Kuldotha.
Playing a similar deck, some small variance between the version you see on camera.
Are you surprised at all that Aleko's up?
No. I think that even though I think a Giga Drowse is a huge hinge on which that match rotates. Alex has 7 points of burn in his hand. Okay. Had to check to see if Daniel was dead just yet.
Yep. And that Firebolt actually comes back for 2 more, so he has a little more than that.
Yeah, now might be the time to deploy the Sorcery Speed Lava Spike.
I do like that, and I like playing the bounce land.
But we'll wait a little longer. Still just fine. All right, now Daniel looking for some card advantage. Actually, wouldn't hate another Stormbag Gust. Would be a pretty nice draw for him.
I don't hate passing at all with the Firebolt. I mean, it's 2 damage. You save out on some tempo, but if your opponent doesn't have any threats and doesn't have any answers, waiting a turn, you're just pecking with the Skyfisher anyway.
Yeah. You're going to need a couple more attacks no matter what. So
yep.
Now this makes good sense. Now we'll see what the draw is for Daniel here. Looking for an accumulated knowledge would be huge.
That was. Did you just call that?
I think I might have. Oh, there it is. AK for 3.
Oh, but he's going to flashback Chainer's Edict instead.
Safe play.
I like that. There's no discard to worry about from the Kuldotha deck.
Yeah. Metalcraft now online. Once Alec plays his third artifact land in the form of the second Ancient Den. Means that Daniel's only got 3 life points left to work with. Alec's going to conserve his information as long as possible. Wants Daniel to not think that an extra 4 damage could be coming.
Oh, but he might have gotten punished because now there's an answer.
Yeah, here comes Counterspell off the top.
But I still like Alex's position.
This is fair.
Oh, another...
That is another Galvanic Blast. We might see it happen for a 3rd time on camera.
Now, do you think Alex has a read on what's in Daniel's hand? There's been 1 card in his hand that just never moved, but could be a reactive spell.
Could be.
But, you know, Alex has never played anything particularly valuable. He's played a bunch of 2/3s that bounce lands back to his hand.
Yeah, creatures that die to removal. Nothing exciting here. I might test the waters with a...
Firebolt?
Yeah. It is a sorcery, after all. I might try to cast it both sides, too. To you.
Should you?
How's this? Daniel thinking. Can't really counterspell it. Feels terrible.
Yep. If it's good once, do you want to just fire that back again?
He even has enough to end step one of the Galvanic Blasts or Lightning Bolts. But now that Alex has played that 3rd land, Daniel's got to be a little more suspicious. No, if I'm Alex here, I might sorcery speed it into 2 mystery cards and 7 mana. Gotta imagine.
Well, he's reaching for the mana. That's 5 mana right here.
It's actually 6.
6, including the one that he paid for the first half of Firebolt.
Well, Azorius Chancery taps for 2 mana.
Oh, that's an Azorius Chancery.
Yeah.
6 mana.
Yeah. But at this point, red mana is the only thing relevant in Alex's mana pool.
So it looks like the Firebolt flashback resolves. Accumulating Knowledge is going to fire off, pick up a Brainstorm, Chainer's Edict, and another Brainstorm.
Yeah. And that...
And another end step Brainstorm. I like this. Usually you want to dig a little bit deeper, but I think with another cantrip in his hand, and now he picked up a copy of Thought Scour and a Deprive. This is an excellent series of draws for Daniel.
And drew a threat. drew a bunch of counter spells, and is even going to be able to reset his Dismal Backwater with that Deprive.
And that Thought Scour allows him to get rid of the chaff in his hand. I don't think he's necessarily in the market for Chainer's Edict right now.
I think that's a very safe assessment. But you definitely want to keep that Brainstorm. I think drawing the Mental Note organically, and then eventually casting that Mental Note or Thought Scour somewhere between now and the next draw step, pretty safe. Saltite Scavenger, definitely going to start things off for Daniel here. We'll see how he likes to cast it. Soon he'll be out of accumulated knowledges, and his graveyard size is going to increase by a virtual 3. Oh no, that was his 4th. Okay, all right.
Daniel certainly has a lot of options to consider at this point.
That's right.
Holding a bunch of cantrips. When you fire them off, he's probably suspecting quite a bit of burn in Alex's hand.
Yeah,
at least removal.
The game's been Drago for so long that if Alex passes without using a white spell to kill the Saltite Scavenger, Daniel's got to be very protective of his life total. Going for the end step burn spell. I think it's safe to try to run your opponent out of the spells that he's drawn.
I don't know if I necessarily, if your plan was to hold this up, would you have maybe fired that off in response to an accumulated knowledge or one of the cantrips?
In response to the Brainstorm makes sense.
Looks like Daniel's going to brainstorm for a little bit more information, finds a copy of Ghastly Demise and a Chainer's Edict. Did not pick up any additional counter spells. It's a Thought Scour, Deprive, a counter spell. 2 cards are going to go back. A Grimag Angler is going to add significantly to that clock.
That's right. Yeah, and if you're Daniel, and Daniel has kind of awkwardly taken himself off of 3 instances of double blue. He's only got access to 2 counter spells worth of mana now. Oh, he just takes 4. Okay.
Well, your life total doesn't matter until you hit 1.
That's right. Only the last life point matters. Oh, and a Skyfisher the draw. Okay. Not what Alex is looking for here. Wants another burn spell, I imagine.
Yep. You maybe just hold on to the Skyfisher, point the bolts at Daniel's face and a turn, see if you could maybe rip a copy of Ichor Wellspring or Prism.
I might just, I kind of want to cast the Skyfisher now. That's going to put an additional 2 damage that we can see how Daniel reacts to it. If he attacks with impunity into the 2/3, then you know that your burn is going to be more difficult to resolve.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that. I think you very well may be right. I'm just thinking Daniel must have a grip full of removal if he hasn't committed too much to the board. Probably some counter spells, but we'll see what he likes to go with.
Yeah. Here comes that Skyfisher.
I do have knowledge from actually looking right at Daniel's hand that Alex does not necessarily get to benefit from.
It is helpful.
Yep.
And it's very easy when you're not in the hot seat, and you're instead in the cool seat, where Sean and I are sitting right now.
Drinking our refreshing beverages, courtesy of Cafe Mox.
That's right, Cafe Mox, your source for delicious beverages, fantastic snacks, and I'm done plugging.
Check this place out if you haven't already. I genuinely like this place a lot.
Yeah, that's right. I think one of the worst decisions I ever made was working here. It really ruined it for a good year and a half.
Poor Casey.
The struggle is, as you know, very real. So it looks like the Skyfisher resolved, returned a Gainland, which Alex has redeployed, bringing him down to only 2 untapped red sources. It's interesting, maybe become relevant in the future.
And a turn Ghastly Demise.
Alex had that window to flurry of burn spells. Daniel, while he's only got 4 mana up, but 4 is a lot.
4 is a lot. You're not cutting him off of Hardcast Force Low or anything.
Not even Dismiss or a Cryptic Command. That's right, now we keep it simple here at the Pauper Tournament.
Picks up his Grimag Angler.
Nice draw.
Knew that was coming though.
Yeah. Still nice though.
And Chainer's Edict on top. He has an instant way to manipulate this deck if he needs to. I think this game is now in favor of Daniel. What do you think?
I fully agree. Daniel's going to be able to leave up 6 mana during his turn. Alex is going to need to have one of his burn spells resolve, another one get countered, and then Daniel to forget to counter the one that he draws off the top in order for this game to go Alex's way. I think the window is shut pretty firmly on the Jeskai deck's fingers.
Yeah. Well, this game, the Jeskai deck looked like just a normal Jeskai deck with no synergies. He didn't really get any of his cool interactions going other than sacrificing his Icar Wellspring to the Kudotha Rebirth.
That's right. Which would have dealt a lot of damage in this game. I think I may have underestimated its impact it could have had. Daniel deploying his big old zombie fish. And if you're Alex here, you gotta hope the top is good to you.
Well, he's still got another turn.
That's true. He's facing down 8 damage, and now has the option to chump block, or maybe even try to trade with this Glinthawk and the Lightning Bolt in his hand. But I think that's a losing proposition. Alex is gonna fire it off now. Doesn't want to give Daniel any more draw steps. Counter spell. How does your deck win? Counter spell. Now Alex knows that his burn plan is not going to do it. See a Glinthawk, going to hit the field. Now that Metalcraft isn't relevant.
Yep. Bounce an artifact.
And gets another red mana back.
Yep. But he only has one spell in his hand, and we know it's not Rolling Thunder.
But we can hope. All right, well, Daniel naturals his Chainer's Edict.
But he knew he was out on top of the library.
Yeah. This is the advantage of playing with more information than your opponent.
Yep.
When the top card of your deck is face up, and only to you, that's a good place to be. 8 damage coming in on Alex. He's looking at this Lightning Bolt. He's deciding whether he wants to pop a cap and a Sultai Scavenger. Bird Warrior could go down, but Alex would still take 5 and be dead on board to the zombie fish.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that gets him out of it. If he had enough mana to flashback Firebolt, that could beat counter spells, but that is a very mana-intensive way of doing so. And another Glinthawk for the turn. That's just dead on board to the flashback of Chainer's Edict. So we consider this out. Unfortunately, find that he's out of them.
That's right.
But it's a terrific run.
Yeah, showed a lot of prowess with his Jeskai deck. That was we'll see if Josh caught that one. Our spotter down in match lands.
Big fan of puns.
Thank you, much obliged. Oh no, Josh is, not you.
Josh is.
Oh, perfect. And Alex now deciding if Lightning Bolt is going to resolve. Daniel being a very good sport and not revealing his hand of counterspells to the Kuldotha player. Now if you're Alex here, you gotta cast it now. Can't wait.
Yeah, and it's going to need a point at the Scavenger.
Yeah, I suppose you could wait until upkeep. Deprive Daniel of some of his resources. And that's going to wrap the game up. Cool, we're head on back to the booth here. Wrap it up for the quarterfinals. Hello, welcome back. Casey Hogan, joined by Sean Yu. You just saw our last quarterfinals match. The rest of the bracket is completed. We're actually halfway into our semifinals match on the other side. We're going to go down for just a minute, get things set up, let the players take a little water, maybe restroom break. Until then, thanks to Sean for stepping in for Josh. And stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.